Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall. Delighted as always to be joined by Elliot Grigg, and we're here reacting to what we've just seen from Belfast as Kevin AGYARKO has maintained his unbeaten record with a grueling, very entertaining 12-round split decision win against Ishmael Davis. Yeah, had it all this one and went the distance. AGYARKO prevailing on this one. Elliot. First of all, I hope you're well. Let's crack on to it. What's your kind of thoughts on that? Give us your kind of instant reaction to that one.
Yeah, like you said, man, hell of a fight. Very, very interesting fight. I think both guys actually, fair play that the styles mesh well. I think the actual ability of both the guys seemed to be very similar, didn't it, as well? Like, I think maybe for a close fight. I think Davis fought well. I think people were saying in the exchanges that he was kind of almost kind of bullying Ajako for a bit. Obviously, Ajako with the eye injury as well, and then obviously what happened at the end. I was actually thinking maybe Davis in a different location might actually get a decision, but I think in a close fight like that, I'm not being cynical. I'm not taking anything away from Ajako either. I like him as a fighter, but I think when it comes to a close fight like that, I'm not surprised that we saw the split decision victory for him there. But I think actually very, very entertaining fight. Styles meshed really well. Could actually be the fight of the night, to be honest with you. For viewers. Oh, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, how about yourself?
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. I thought it was excellent. It really was. I think fighting the night so far, definitely, and I think it could win fight the night. But yeah, I thought it was the right winner. We were just kind of chatting there off camera. Luckily, the knockdown, of course, big kind of controversy over the knockdown in the last round. It wasn't a knockdown. It was proved on kind of replays. So I'm glad it didn't prove crucial to the outcome of the fight because, it was a great effort from Ajarko, great effort from Davis. I thought Ajarko deserved the nod. I thought his hand speed in particular against Davis kind of proved crucial. The quicker, more effective shots. The fight through that eye injury was incredible. That eye was gruesome, to be honest with you. Really bad. I thought it would get stopped. And as you say, you made a good point in saying that if it was anywhere else, I'm not saying it was a robbery, but if it was anywhere else,
Yeah.
Davis might have edged it. It was that close, but yeah, Kevin Jarko gets it done, and I thought there was a lot of close rounds there, but I think it was the right winner, in a very, very entertaining fight. So yeah, Jarko gets it done. Before we kind of wrap up on this, I suppose, what do you think is next for Jarko? Obviously there's potential for a rematch after such an entertaining fight. But Ajarko he's been tipped in the past for big things. Maybe not. He's maybe not where he wants to be. It maybe took him a bit longer to get to the big fights so far. How do you like? What's his kind of ceiling in your opinion?
Yeah, you know what? It's hard to say. I think with Kobe Djokovic, I think you look at it like you said. I think he was tipped for big things. I think you look at the sort of record he's got is obviously quite light at the moment. I think I wouldn't mind seeing him frankly take on. I think with what we've seen in that fight there, he's not necessarily these guys. Neither of these guys are ready for kind of the step up to maybe kind of what you'd say is world level. I mean, look what happened when Ishmael Davis fought Boachuk last time out. He got kind of badly sort of stopped there. So I wouldn't want to see Kamajako fight him, for example. If you're looking at a level, I'd maybe think. Keep it domestic. I wouldn't be adverse to seeing him fight maybe someone like Josh Kelly. That'd be a sort of a, maybe. I mean, I'll probably still make Josh Kelly favourite to be honest with you, but I feel like those are the sort of fights you should possibly be having at the moment. I think it's quite hard to match him just because you kind of other names. I mean, you could have like a wild card name like Conor Ben or something. It wouldn't necessarily be like a money fight, I suppose, with Ben, though, would it? But would it be kind of a tune-up fight for him? Would he take that kind of fight on a matchroom show? So I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's domestic level, frankly, for Komajako. I think I like him. I think he's a good fighter, but I think it's too early to push him on to anything else. Other than that, I'd have at least a couple more down at this sort of level, just for the fact that he's been in a war with Ismail Davis, who also I don't think, to be perfectly honest with you, is world level either. So I think you need maybe a couple more before you even talk about kind of stepping up for bigger things.
Yeah, I agree in terms of, it's not world level yet. He is a talented fighter, but he hasn't kind of reached a world level. Kelly is a good show, although Kelly, I think, has a world title shot of his own that could be coming up. Bowerchuk was another name I kind of thought of, but maybe that's a bit too soon. You know me with my Irish rose-tinted bias glasses. I think he can go far, keeping the Jarko. So whether it's world titles, 154 is probably the most stacked division in boxing at the minute. So stacked, killers in it. So you wouldn't really favour him against this kind of crop of world level fighters at 154 already. But another name that I was thinking of who fights tonight, and you're gonna kind of roll your eyes at the Irish boys again, but it's Callum Walsh. I think Callum Walsh, if he comes through this tonight, I'd love to see Callum Walsh and Kevin AGYARKO. I think it was mooted in the past, but I think it's a fight that makes sense for both men, and I think it'll do big business in Ireland. It'll be a good headliner over here, so I'd like to see that one. But yeah, definitely a
Who would
few.
you just let me ask you quickly then, put you on the spot. Who would you favour in that one? Obviously, there's no necessarily Irish bias there. You can go with either which way. Who would you favour in that one?
I was thinking about this during the fight, and if they were to fight next, it might surprise a few people, but I'd actually edge a Jarko on that. I just think, Callum Walsh not quite ready for that kind of level yet. But it's a very close fight. I'd have to edge a Jericho on points, to be honest with you, but I'd love to see that fight. But yeah, maybe if it's not Callum Walsh, a European title fight next, or just before we kind of go, would you be interested in seeing the rematch there with Jericho and Ishmael Davis?
No, I'd be definitely interested in seeing it. I really would. I'd be interested in seeing it. I think. I don't think it's one of those ones where, I mean, I'm not, to be honest, I haven't actually caught the sort of media reaction to it because we've obviously filmed it sort of straight away afterwards. I've not seen a lot of the reaction to what people were thinking about the end there with the supposed knockdown, all that stuff as well. I suppose you take that away, you actually have probably a Jarko, actually wider, obviously on the points as well. But I think the styles meshed well. I think again, it wouldn't necessarily be a headline fight, but you could definitely rematch it again as a sort of support cup fight in the UK or wherever if there was appetite for it. I think it's one of those, when you see like certain fighters when they fight certain opponents almost like sharpens them and it meshes well. So I think to be honest with you, the public would like to see that. I'd like to see that fight again. So no necessarily, it's not. I think it's one of the sad things about boxing is when you get kind of a great fight or like a good fight, two styles that work well. You think one person wins, you never see it again. It's almost like that's it now. Like, but we can actually see like almost like Katie Taylor, Serrano just keep throwing people in with each other. Like if it meshes well and it sells, I'll be up for seeing it. I'll definitely be up for seeing that again on undercard somewhere. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I think after that one, I don't think many people would argue with seeing it again, especially if it was good as that. And as you say, if the styles mesh well, throw if it was a close fight, throw them in again. But yeah, a lot of interesting options after that one. That was just myself and Elliot Grigg giving a reaction to what we've just seen from Belfast, as Kevin AGYARKO has maintained his unbeaten record with a split decision, a very entertaining decision win over Ishmael Davis. So yeah, let us know what you think. How did you score that fight? What did you make of it? And what's next for both men? Get involved in the comments below. And as always, don't forget, yeah, get involved. Drop a comment. Drop a like on the video first of all. And if you're not doing so already, give us a subscribe at ESBR Boxing and follow us on all social media. Elliot, it was a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you very much, guys. As always, thank you very much for watching.